She stood up in front of my parents, her parents, and her ex and said, "If you can't accept that my ex will always be in my life, don't marry me." The room went silent. I looked at her and said one word that ended everything. "Okay, my name's Ethan Cole. I'm an architect who spent years building things that last. But that night, I learned not everything can stand on shaky foundations. At a family dinner, she looked straight at me and said, 'My ex will always be part of my life. If that's a problem for you, then don't marry me.' The room went dead silent. I just said, 'Okay.' By the next week, invitations were canceled, and so was the wedding. It all began at one of those tense dinners where two families, who have nothing in common, try to act thrilled about the upcoming union. My parents, Daniel and Ruth, sat quietly, married 40 years, the kind of loyal couple who believe commitment actually means something. Across from them sat my fiancée, Harper, and her parents, Martin and Diane, retired psychologists who treated every discussion like a therapy session and every opinion that wasn't theirs as emotional immaturity. And then there was Evan. Evan was Harper's ex-boyfriend. But to hear her family talk, he wasn't an ex. He was a soul companion, a lifelong connection that supposedly transcended traditional relationships. He had a key to her parents' house, joined their holidays and birthdays, even Sunday brunches. He was always there, a smug ghost haunting the edges of what should have been my relationship. From the start, I told Harper how uncomfortable it made me. I wasn't jealous, I just believed in boundaries. Your past doesn't belong in your present, especially not sitting at the dinner table cracking private jokes with your fiancé. Every time I brought it up, I got the same condescending response. Harper and her parents lectured me about insecurity, toxic masculinity, and archaic possessiveness, like they acted like self-respect was a flaw that needed treatment. I didn't argue much, not because I was weak, but because I wanted to see where her respect ended. I needed to know what kind of foundation we were really building on, solid ground or shifting sand. The night everything unraveled, the topic of the wedding seating chart came up over dessert. My mother, who never raises her voice but never holds her tongue, was scanning the draft. She looked up and asked gently, "Harper, sweetheart, I noticed you placed Evan at the main family table. Maybe he'd be more comfortable at the friends' table." The air changed instantly. Harper's mother set her fork down with an exaggerated sigh. Harper's face flushed crimson. "My mom is just suggesting what most guests would assume," I said softly. "Having your ex seated at the family table might send the wrong message." Harper turned to me, eyes blazing. "The wrong message? The only wrong message is that you and your parents are stuck in some outdated fantasy of ownership. Evan is family. He was in my life long before you, and he'll be in my life long after. He's not going anywhere." Her father leaned forward, wearing that patient therapist smile that makes you want to throw a chair. "Ethan, we've talked about this. You need to unlearn your rigid relationship models. What Harper and Evan share is a healthy, evolved bond. You should celebrate that instead of trying to control it." It was a perfectly coordinated assault. My parents sat stunned, two honest, old-fashioned people watching their son get dissected like a case study. Harper, sensing she had the moral high ground, stood up and delivered the line that ended everything. "I want to make this perfectly clear," she said, voice rising. "Evan will always be part of my life. He'll be at our wedding, our kids' birthdays, our holidays. That's not negotiable. If you don't like it, don't marry me." It was the ultimatum heard around the table. Everyone stared at me. She expected me to argue, to back down like before. She even looked proud of herself. Smug, certain she'd cornered me. I stayed silent for a long moment, looking at her, then at her parents, then at mine. Finally, I gave a slow nod. "Okay," I said. Harper blinked. "Okay, what?" I stood up, placed my napkin on the plate, and looked her right in the eye. "Okay, I won't marry you." The words landed like a hammer. I turned to my parents. "Let's go." We left without another word. The drive home was quiet. My dad focused on the road, knuckles white on the wheel. My mom just stared out the window. They were waiting for me to break, but I didn't. I felt nothing but peace. The long, exhausting weight of pretending had finally lifted. After 10 minutes, Dad finally spoke. "You sure about this, son?" "Never been sure," I said. My mom turned to me, her voice soft but firm. "Good. We were just waiting for you to see what we already knew." When I got home, the house I'd bought, the one Harper had lived in rent-free for 2 years, my phone was lighting up. Dozens of missed calls and texts from Harper, her parents, even Evan. Harper, you can't be serious. You just walked out? Diane, Ethan, you hurt our daughter deeply. Come back and talk this out like an adult. Evan, dude, this is insane. You're overreacting. They all thought I was throwing a tantrum. They hadn't realized that okay meant final. I made one phone call to our wedding planner, Celeste. Celeste, I said. It's Ethan, the wedding's off permanently. She paused. But the invitations go out tomorrow morning. Don't send them. Cancel everything. Harper's parents were handling payments, so direct all financial matters to them. It was strategic. Harper's father had insisted on paying for the wedding, loudly at every opportunity. Now the 6-figure cancellation mess was his to clean up. The next morning, the calls started. Celeste, being efficient, contacted every vendor, the caterer, the florist, the venue, the band. Each call meant another non-refundable deposit gone. By noon, Martin called me, voice shaking. Do you have any idea how much money we've lost? You can't just do this. I didn't do anything, I said calmly. Your daughter made the conditions for marriage. I simply chose not to meet them. She didn't mean it that way. She said it in front of 12 witnesses. If you want to sue for breach of promise, replay that dinner in your head. She ended it. I just respected her boundary. I hung up. That afternoon, Harper used her key to walk into my house. She found me packing her belongings into boxes. What are you doing? She demanded. Helping you move, I said without looking up. You can't kick me out. I live here? No, you don't, I said, meeting her eyes. You've been staying here. My name's on the deed and you'll need to be out by tomorrow. The locks are changing, her voice cracked. Ethan, please. I didn't mean it. I was angry. I love you, I paused. The time for that was when my mother was sitting at your table being talked down to. You made your choice. Now I'm making mine. The next month was an education in consequences for her and her family. First came the financial hit. The cancellations cost them nearly $100,000. Her father ranted, but there was nothing he could do. Then came the social fallout. Word of that dinner spread fast. People whispered. Everyone knew Harper's arrogance had blown up her own engagement. She wasn't a victim. She was the punchline. She moved back in with her parents, who were now drowning in resentment and financial stress. The cracks in their enlightened family dynamic widened into open warfare. And Evan, the ex she'd defended so passionately, he vanished. He was happy to be the quirky best friend when Harper had a stable, successful fiancée footing the bills. But once she was single and humiliated, he disappeared. Within 3 months, he was dating someone else. Meanwhile, I rebuilt my life. I took a trip through Europe, a dream I'd shelved for years because Harper thought travel was a waste of money. I came back with a clearer head and a lighter heart. I dove into work and landed the biggest architectural project of my career, a historic concert hall restoration that earned national recognition. 6 months later, a journal ran a feature on it, complete with photos of me on stage accepting an award. I didn't post about it. I didn't need to. Word got around. A year passed. My life looked nothing like it used to. I sold the old house and moved into a downtown loft. Exposed brick, high ceilings, clean lines, just how I liked it. I started dating again. Her name is Olivia. She's a doctor, smart, grounded, and fiercely independent. Her family is loud, funny, and warm. The first time I met them, her mother insisted I eat until I couldn't move. It was the opposite of every cold analytical dinner I'd ever endured. Olivia and I understand each other. She doesn't bring ghosts of her past into our future. We respect each other's boundaries because we both know what happens when you don't. I hadn't heard from Harper in over a year. I'd blocked her and her family everywhere. But mutual acquaintances love gossip. I learned her father lost money in bad investments. They sold their big house and moved into a condo. Harper tried to start a career as a life coach, but it fizzled. She worked part-time at a boutique now, barely getting by. Evan got engaged to someone else. His new fiancée made it clear Harper wasn't part of their modern family. Then one evening I saw her again. Olivia and I were at a charity auction downtown, bidding on a painting. We were laughing, surrounded by friends. Across the room I saw Harper. She was wearing a black apron, serving champagne. For a second our eyes met. She froze, seeing me with Olivia, Seeing how relaxed I looked, how content I was. Her confident mask cracked, and I saw the raw regret underneath. Then she turned and disappeared through the kitchen doors. I didn't feel anger. I didn't feel pity. Just quiet satisfaction. Some people only learn the value of respect when it's already too late. Walking away isn't weakness, it's choosing peace over pain. Don't forget to subscribe for more stories that remind you of your own strength.